Whoa.
What's the problem?
This
What's the matter?
This is not a Jet show.
So what?
So how about this?
Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Oh, come on. I don't want to hear this.
Why not? Super Bowl champions.
Doesn't matter. I just don't want to hear it.
What do you want to hear?
How about some Mets?
Hey, if I can find one good thing that happened to the Mets, here we go.
Oh, yeah, it's got to be, I'm sorry, we all can't be like the Yankees.
Oh, speaking of.
This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Goodbye, home run. Don Mattingly.
No, I can't believe I just said that. All right, well, listen, how about a little Nets?
If I have to.
Get the jumper to win it. He got it.
I can't take it. I can't take it anymore. It's been a second. I can't take it. How about some Knicks?
Oh, yeah, big spenders. Can't win a playoff.
Fair enough.
Houston pops out up top, down the lane, running jumper off the front rim, and in.
I guess we should talk a little hockey, no?
People even watch hockey anymore?
They watch the Rangers.
Well, if you have the Rangers, you gotta have some violence.
Yeah, no, they didn't have YouTube in the 80s.
All right, let's get the show started.
Here we are, polar opposites. Hello and welcome to the Polar Opposites podcast on Polar Opposites. Oh, we're not doing that anymore. No more Polar Opposites.podbean. That's over.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's officially over?
Yes, that's officially over. You can listen to us on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, something else, I'm sure. And follow us on Twitter at Polar Opposites 1. I'm Matt Stevens. Alongside me, as always.
Hey, it's Craig Buffett.
And Craig.
Matty, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I got some exciting news for you fans out there because guess what, folks? Now, if you have Amazon's Alexa, you can activate the Spreaker app and just tell Alexa to play Polar Opposites via Spreaker. And guess what you get? You get Polar Opposites. It's fantastic. We are on Strong Island TV today. Thank you to them so much every 2 weeks for that. We got a lot to get to today. We got halftime. We have our own State of the Union addresses on the Mets and Yankees. Since we're counter-programming the actual State of the Union, we're going to kick things off, though.
A little bit of a curveball.
A little bit of the Royal Rumble.
Yes, and the Royal Rumble took place Sunday, and not going to really get into a huge review of it because Maddie doesn't watch wrestling, but overall, the pay-per-view itself was actually really good, and they kind of did what was pretty cool was they took the young guys during the Rumble and had them kind of feuding with the older guys.
Okay.
So they had like Cena and Orton. Now, those Cena and Orton, although are still pretty young, in WWE, they're kind of veterans because
Right.
the other guys are like 21, 22 years old. So they kind of built that up at one point during the Rumble between Orton, Roman Reigns, and Cena against like Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura, and can't remember the other guy. But basically, they had a lot of surprises. Rey Mysterio made a comeback. He came back from
I saw a dude who looked exactly
shape, amazing shape for however long he's been out of wrestling or whatever. But
I saw a dude who looked like Coco Beware. It was not actually Coco Beware, right?
No, he's not. Come on.
I saw a dude who looked exactly like Coco Beware. He even had the thing, like the same body type and everything.
If he doesn't have Frankie, he's not Coco Beware.
Hey, listen, they have alternate personalities, don't
That's
they?
very true.
So there you
they
go.
Are
Look at
accountants
that,
in their
winning.
spare time.
Yeah.
So from that set, look, the winners were basically Shinsuke Nakamura won the men's ones. He's going to go to WrestleMania to take on AJ Styles. And then Asuka won the women's Royal Rumble, which was actually, that started out slow. That started out like they didn't really know what to do at first. And I noticed like a lot of the women's wrestlers, listen, their stamina is not for this kind of a match. You're talking at least an hour in the ring. Their stamina is not really as strong, so a lot of times you kind of saw them disappear, and you got confused because you thought they got eliminated, but in reality they were just like laying outside, just like trying to catch their breath.
Right.
And
Like they went through the middle
and
row.
and then running back in when
yeah.
it was time, for their thing. So Asuka wins the Royal Rumble, but then on top of that, they bring in Ronda Rousey. So now Ronda Rousey's in the WWE. Now here's my thing about Ronda Rousey. Listen, you bring her in at this point. Her UFC career is pretty much over. I don't think she's going to fight
again. Pretty much
again.
is not. Don't
Well, she got
pretty
beat.
much
She got beat pretty bad the last
but
two
don't
fights.
put pretty much. She's never fighting in the UFC.
You never
again.
know.
Stop.
I never say never.
Stop.
I never
Stop.
say never.
Okay, gun to your head.
Never.
There you go. There you go. That's all I want to say. There you go.
Bullets travel fast.
Yeah, but I'm just saying when needing to give the absolute answer, you said she will never do it again instead of your namby-pamby down the middle stuff.
Okay, but fair enough. So that being said, here's the problem I have with Ronda Rousey, and that's just she outside of her background as a UFC fighter, I don't know how much wrestling she has.
Right.
She's not a wrestler, so I think her matches are not going to be that good because she's going to be very rusty going up against seasoned professionals. Yeah. So at the end of the day, they take it for whatever the paycheck is. I'm sure it was a pretty good.
Oh, it's a good paycheck.
You know, so the rumor is right now that she's going to be feuding with Stephanie McMahon, and it's going to be Stephanie McMahon and Triple H against her and like a partner. Now, originally that partner was supposed to be The Rock, but that doesn't look to be the case. So The Rock is going to be doing movies. But either way, look, it was outside of the 2 Rumbles. The matches were terrible. The matches were, except for the AJ Styles match. Other than that, the other matches to me weren't really that good. And you kind of saw like it kind of sucked the life out of the fans after the Rumble because they went to like the tag team title match and nobody cared. You could hear a pin drop in that arena. And it was in Philadelphia.
But why wouldn't the Rumble be the last match?
It should be the last match. I totally agree with you. So what they did was they made the women's Rumble last because I think it was because it was the women's Rumble. It was like a historical.
Sure. Okay. All right. Yeah, okay. That's fine.
But they put the men's Royal Rumble.
Do them back to back.
Yeah, but they put the men's Royal Rumble an hour into the pay-per-view. So I thought, like, I kind of caught it in the middle because I was expecting it to be later.
Right.
So you know that's the way it goes. But either way, listen, both were really good. So, in honor of the Royal Rumble, this is one of our favorite things we like to do. We have our weekly Spanish radio calls. And this week comes from the Royal Rumble. So we have 2. We have Shinsuke Nakamura winning the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
And then we have Asuka winning the Royal Rumble, and I think you also have Ronda Rousey on that one, no? Or no?
No, it didn't come through.
Okay,
but
fair
we
enough.
have the Asuka. This is
Asuka.
Dude, really?
Asuka.
It's spelled Asuka.
It's
okay?
Asuka.
No, Asuka would be spelled differently. This is spelled Asuka.
I just want you to say Asuka,
No.
or if that's your real name. That's
No.
what you always do.
It's Asuka.
Which one do you want to do first?
I'm going to do Asuka.
Asuka.
Anticipadamente Nicky Bella. Yo creo que arremete. La recibieron con patada Macari en la cabeza Nicky.
I'm pretty sure
Qué
right
mal,
now
le enganchan y
she's
viene.
wrapping her leg around her neck over the top rope and slowly dragging the girl off.
Here's the crazy thing. On our past podcast,
Nicky, wow, las dos en el filo del ring. ¡Qué suspenso!
Ay.
¡Doble! ¡Y Asuka! ¡Asuka acaba de eliminar! ¡A Nicky Bella! ¡Asuka es la ganadora! ¡Asuka es la ganadora del Royal Rumble 2018! ¡Te lo dije, Marcelo!
Asuka ha hecho historia y su nombre será escrito en los libros.
Okay, now
go.
here's the sad. Now you and I have always joked in the past since we didn't know who the commentators were.
Right.
We always said it was like Tito Santana or Pedro Morales.
Right.
I actually think they really are because I think they are commentators for the WWE
would
on
be
the Spanish
possible,
version.
yeah.
So we don't really exactly know, but I'm going to take a guess
Yeah.
and say it is Pedro Morales and
Are you
Tito
ready for the
Santana.
Nakamura?
So here is the Nakamura.
¡Wow! Vertiginosos los dos. ¡Quinchazo! Y le dio de lleno.
Lo tiene mareado.
Lo tira y lo elimina y gana. Shinsuke Nakamura. El ganador de la batalla real 2018, Shinsuke Nakamura.
There you go. You knew he won because the guy,
Yeah,
he
because
spoke
you got the English guy, you got the
afterwards.
announcer in the background speaking English.
So he's fighting some dude after this in the WrestleMania. Was that predetermined who he was going to fight if you win the Royal Rumble or no?
No, when you win the Rumble, you get a choice. You can either
Oh.
fight the Raw champion,
Okay.
or you fight the SmackDown champion.
Okay.
SmackDown champion is AJ Styles,
Right, and that's who he's
Raw
fighting.
is Brock Lesnar.
Oh, well, you
he's
gotta fight
fighting
AJ Styles.
He's fighting AJ Styles because they have had some great matches in
Okay.
the past. When they both wrestled for New Japan, they've had some amazing matches in the past.
Now
So
the-
this is going to be amazing. I think it's going to be an unbelievable match. And all you hope for at this point is that Nakamura doesn't get hurt before the.
Now the Asuka,
Asuka.
the Asuka, she's fighting. Now that was
Asuka-
predetermined, right?
It's not, again, same thing.
Same- oh,
She
there's
gets a
women's
choice.
titles in both
Yeah,
Raw,
so Raw and
okay.
SmackDown. So I think she's going to fight Alexa Bliss, the Raw champion.
Sure.
And as for the SmackDown champion, I don't know who they're going to fight, but there could be also a possibility that SmackDown champion fights Rousey.
Right,
But I
okay.
don't know if that's the case.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Royal Rumble was great. It was an amazing, all the more better with the Spanish radio calls. Thank you, Maddie,
Sure.
for getting those. And that's it on the Rumble. Next is Elimination Chamber, and then it goes on to WrestleMania. But Elimination Chamber is basically the stepping stone to get to WrestleMania
Yes.
with the title matches and all that stuff.
When I was a kid, there was 4 a year. Now there's 1 a month.
Well, here's the funny thing. Now they also have the mixed match challenge where you have like female and male and all that stuff.
Just stop. It's
And
all
that was
nonsense.
back in the day. Well, back in the 80s, it used to be called the Wrestling Classic, where they would just put up, it was almost like Roddy Piper would be tagging with Hogan, even though he hated Hogan,
Right.
Type of thing.
I love Roddy Piper. Okay, so what we're going to do now, real quick, before we get to halftime, is we're going to do State of the Unions. We've decided to, since we're going against the State of the Union, we've decided to do our own States of the Union. Ours will not be an hour, because that's ludicrous. We will each take 5 minutes, and then we will get into halftime. Craig is going to do the Mets. I'm going to do the Yankees. We may actually do this next week as well with the Giants and Jets, and then the Knicks and the Nets, but we'll get to that further down the road. Craig, please, hold on. Mr. Speaker, I now present Craig Moffitt.
This bit would have been so much better if Matty had just downloaded the applause like I asked him to, and he didn't do it. Okay, here we go. Here is my State of the Union on the New York Mets. I have 5 minutes. I will try to be as close to 5 minutes. If I go over, I apologize. Here we go. As a Mets fan, or as I like to call us, the last of a dying breed, we are always playing second fiddle to the Yankees. And it all comes down to money. The Yankees have it and are not afraid to spend it. The Mets have it, and they are afraid to spend it. And as long as Sandy Alderson is GM and the Wilpons own the team, they will continue to act like a small market team in a big city. Applause. Let's face it. The only way the Mets will be able to turn the corner and be relevant again is to take chances. Go out and sign Eric Hosmer, or Mike Moustakas, or even Jake Arrieta for the rotation. In order to be successful in this league, you need to be prepared for the worst-case scenario. Too many times, the Mets never had an answer whenever a player was injured or wasn't producing. It's safe to say there is little to no help in the farm system to make an immediate impact. The only way to improve your farm system in the present is to spend money on free agents to hold down the fort while minor leaguers like Dominic Smith and Peter Alonso, just to name a couple of the Mets minor leaguers, develop and work their way up to the big club. The Mets seem to be building a roster on versatility more than talent. There's nothing wrong with versatility on a roster. Some teams value it, others don't. But here's the ultimate issue with versatility. With versatile players like Asdrubal Cabrera, Wilmer Flores, and Jose Reyes, you're not getting the best player at a specific position. You're getting a good player who can play different positions, which means you're basically getting a bench player. This can't happen if the Mets are going to compete with the Nationals, the Dodgers, the Cubs. Now the Giants are a better team. The Cardinals are always a very stingy team. They're never going to be able to compete with these teams unless they really kind of think outside the box on this. Now comes the issue with David Wright. Listen, I'm a Mets fan, and I'm realistic to know when it's time to cut the apron strings on a certain player. Wright doesn't believe it. Wright doesn't understand it, but he's inadvertently hurting the Mets with his attempts to come back from spinal stenosis, neck injuries, etc. This team cannot move forward because they're holding out a glimmer of hope that he's actually going to make this triumphant comeback and play as many games as he possibly can. And Wright is too stubborn to actually admit that he's done, that it's time to call it a career. And listen, I understand that as a ball player, sometimes for ball players it's hard to let go. It's hard to get away from the game that you've been around for so many years and the team you've been around for so many years. Look, at the end of the day, I respect what he's done for the Mets, and he'll always be an icon to the franchise. But the Mets need to get rid of the past in order to move forward in the present. And I'll leave it at this. The Mets could surprise this year, but it's looking more and more likely they're going to be a third-place team. Too many things just have to break right, and they just aren't that fortunate of a franchise to make it happen. You can't let the Yankees wind up with Giancarlo Stanton just because of money, and you can't be in a stalemate with the Pirates about Josh Harrison simply because you don't really want to give up a prospect like Brandon Nimmo. It doesn't hurt to roll the dice and jump out of your comfort zone once in a while. You win some, you lose some, but the fans will respect the fact that at least you tried. And at the end of the day, they're the ones that matter the most. Thank you. Thank you very much. Godspeed.
All right. Craig's State of the Union. Very nice, Craig. All done in record time. Fantastic work. Now it's time for me to talk about the Yankees. I'm going to get my little stopwatch up here real quick just so I can go back, and here we go. Okay. The Yankees don't have the same problems as the Mets, and I think if any Yankee fan out there is aware of anything that's happened in the last 2 years, you know that. The Yankees right now won 91 games last year in a year they weren't supposed to do that. They had guys like Aaron Judge and Gary Sanchez and Didi Gregorius, and And they had a bunch of guys. Aaron Hicks played well for a lot of the year. They had a lot of young guys play over their heads for a year. That, if you're a Yankee fan and you're expecting 52 home runs from Aaron Judge, well, you're probably thinking a little too far. If he hits 40 this year, you'll be happy and you'll take that. If Gary Sanchez hits 25 or 30, you'll take that. You know why you'll take that? Because they have Giancarlo Stanton now. Because it doesn't matter if he hits 52, because they have a guy coming over who hit 59 last year, where he would have hit 59 in Yankees home ballpark as well. A couple things to make you excited about going forward with the Yankees. Now, I don't believe all the people out there that are saying that the Yankees are the team to beat. The Houston Astros are the team to beat, simply by the fact that the Houston Astros won the World Series last year and still have a very good team, including the pitching staff that beat the Yankees. But if you're a Yankee fan, just think of it this way. Your offense, I'm about to read you some offensive statistics, and then just add Giancarlo into those, okay? Runs, they had 858. The league average was 753. Hits, they had 1463. The league average was 1407. Home runs, they had 821. The league average was 719. Those home runs aren't going down. They traded Chase Headley, who had 10 home runs, and got Giancarlo Stanton, who had 59. So they'll be okay. The one part that scares the hell out of you if you're the Yankees, and this is what became a bugaboo in the postseason, and that was strikeouts. Strikeouts was a big thing for them in the postseason. Last year, they had 1,386 strikeouts. Now, the league average is 1,337, so it's not that crazy over the league average, but it's still too many, especially in the postseason, where you need to just make contact sometimes just to get runs. You don't get shut out of those 2 games that Verlander pitched if you have guys who make a little bit more contact. Now, you're going to trade that in for 52 home runs. That's what you're going to do. That's what baseball is now, okay? That's what it is. But they need to cut down on the strikeouts, and they need to... You have Stanton, you have Judge, you have Sanchez in the middle of the lineup, right? Those guys are going to hit your home run. They're also going to strike out a ton. Everybody else's job is to get on base. That's what your job is, okay? Now then you go into the pitching staff and you're like, oh, the Yankees need pitching. I mean, I think the Yankees should go sign Hugh Darvish or blah, blah, blah. No, the Yankees don't need pitching. You want to know why the Yankees don't need pitching? First of all, they have Justice Sheffield and Chance Adams waiting in the wings, okay? Last year, they had a 3.72 ERA as a team. The league average is 4.35. They gave up 660 runs. The league average was 753, all right? Their walks are under the league average. Their Ks are way above. They had 1,560 strikeouts. The league average is 1,337. Now, look, the majority of that is from Chapman and from Betances and from those guys, but that doesn't matter where you get the strikeouts as long as you're getting them. Where the Yankees need to improve in their bullpen is not necessarily the bullpen arms, but the amount of blown saves they have. They had 36 blown saves last year. They had 23 blown saves last year. 23 blown saves, which is too many. It's just too many for that bullpen to have. It just is. The thing that excites you more than any of those numbers, and the fact that you have Giancarlo Stanton coming in and you have a full year of Sonny Gray, is that the Yankees have the second best, according to Baseball America, the second best farm system. And they have 6 prospects in the top 100 of the league. They have Torres, who's number 5. They have Florial, who's number 44. Justice Sheffield, who's 48. Andujar, who's 65. Albert Abreu, who's 74. And Chance Adams, who's 75. And that does not include Clint Frazier, who is only not listed there because he had too many games in the major leagues. What it boils down to is this. The Yankees can do whatever the hell they want right now. They can either trade to acquire somebody, they can go out and sign somebody, they can go out and basically do whatever they need to do to win the World Series. So when Brian Cashman at the trade deadline this year needs a big pitcher, he's going to go and get a big pitcher because they have now the money, because they're underneath the threshold, and they have the talent to do whatever they want. The rest of the league should be a little scared.
So in other words, they are going to win the World Series
No,
this year.
I didn't say that.
To quote our president. Wrong.
No, I didn't say that. That's not what I said, actually. What I said
saying
was...
that the team to beat.
No, I didn't say that at all.
You didn't say that. No, you didn't say that.
No,
You're
that's
right.
not what I said.
You're right. You didn't say that. But I definitely think they will be the team to beat.
No, I think that they are on their way to having another long extended streak of being competitive for the World Series. That's what all you can ask for as a fan. That's all you can ever ask for.
Is there a team that you're threatened by this year, besides the Astros?
In the American League?
Yeah.
Well, the Red Sox.
Well, actually, you could say the National League, too.
No,
if you wanna, especially in the World Series, if it has to come down to the World Series.
Well, the National League, you're worried about the Nationals because they have starting pitching. Forget about what they've done in the playoffs. If they ever make a run, they have excellent starting pitching and they have decent hitting. You're worried about the Dodgers because they have excellent starting pitching and a good bullpen. You worry about the team like the Red Sox because they have a good lineup, they have good bullpen, and they have assets and means to do stuff. You're worried about the Houston Astros because you're worried about Cleveland because they're good. People are forgetting about the Cleveland Indians here. The Cleveland Indians are excellent, and they're very good, and they're very well managed. So, yeah, no, it's
and a healthy Edwin.
A lot of teams scare me.
And a healthy Edwin Encarnacion. I mean, that's going to be pretty good for them as well.
So, yeah, so look, I mean, all I can say is I don't think there's a team significantly better than the Yankees, but I don't think the Yankees are significantly better than anybody.
Right.
I think there's about 7 teams on top, and they're all about the same.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Matty, you did an outstanding job on your State of the Union as always.
Thank you. You want to do a little halftime?
Yeah, but first, we are the polar opposites.
Oh, yeah,
if you want to
do
call
that.
us, get on the phone right now, 516-945-9099. You want to talk Yankees or Mets, Giants or Jets, Knicks or Nets. Again, 516-945-9099. We still got to do. We're going to do halftime in about a minute. We're going to do a little buzzer bell, little NBA trade edition with the Knicks and Nets, and then we're going to close out with a little polar bipolar on the Super Bowl because let's face it, all the Super Bowl talk has already been exhausted, and it's only Tuesday.
Indeed.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Here we go. Don't do the run. Seriously, stop. Halftime is always as we reach the midway point of our show. 4 topics of everything going on in the week. Matty, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. The NBA trade deadline is not until a week from Thursday, but already the first blockbuster has been done with the Pistons acquiring Blake Griffin from the Clippers for Tobias Harris, Avery Bradley, Boban Marjanovic, and a first and second round pick. I think although it's protected. The first round pick is protected from 1 to 4 in 2018, 2019, and 2020, and then unprotected after that. Griffin just signed a 5-year, $171 million extension with the Clippers last July, and he's averaging 22 points and 8 rebounds in 33 games this year. As for the Clippers, currently 9th in the West, they may not be done. As reports are, they're also looking to shop DeAndre Jordan and Lou Williams. Matty, did the Pistons become a threat to the Celtics and Cavs in the East? I'll take that as a no.
Oh, no, they didn't. In fact, they may have hurt themselves even more because you have this albatross of a contract with a very overrated player in the league. Look, I'm not saying Blake Griffin's a bad player. When I say overrated, I don't mean bad. I just mean he's not as good as everybody thinks. He's not a great player. Yeah, he's a hollow double-double every night. You know what I mean when I say that, right?
It's a common thing, but nothing really.
Yeah, he doesn't ever propel his team. The guy played with Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan and couldn't get past the first round. Like, come on. It's not doing anything. The Pistons did it to make their fans happy because nobody wants to go to Detroit. And it's hard to get people to go there. But, man, I actually think that the Clippers won the trade, to be completely honest with you.
Well, yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that because, listen, the Clippers are 9th in the West. They're not getting to Golden State or San Antonio. We talked about this like 100 times over. If you can't get past Golden State or San Antonio, and I don't know if I can throw the Thunder in there yet because I think they're good, but I don't think they're.
Oh, you have to. They weren't getting past the Thunder. The Clippers constantly.
And maybe not for nothing. I'm not even sure if a team like maybe or Houston definitely because if Houston once Houston gets Harden back, they're going to be right back to being elite.
I mean, you're not getting Thunder. You're not getting past any of those.
I think the Clippers are doing the right thing here because this is what he and I have talked about for a long time. It's like, look, you have to wait for this kind of wave of the Warriors to kind of ride itself out before you can start contending again. This is a message to the teams like the Blazers. Now the Timberwolves not so much, but definitely teams like the Clippers is you're not going to beat these teams. So I'd rather build for the future or just try to build with assets. And then when it's time, because Golden State eventually that ship will sail. Then you can kind of make that run. As for the Pistons, I agree with you because outside of Blake, they traded a few quality players, so they're basically not any better than they are, but they're not worse, but they're not better either. They're kind of in the middle, and like you said, they're stuck with an albatross contract. $170 $1 million for a guy
Ludicrous.
who's constantly hurt.
It's a ludicrous and punches people in the face. The Brewers had a busy weekend upgrading their outfield, first acquiring Christian Yelich from the Marlins for 4 prospects, and then agreeing to a 5-year, $80 million contract with Lorenzo Cain. The Brewers now have a crowded outfield with Yelich, Cain, Ryan, Braun, and Domingo Santana, but Braun is willing to move to second base, a position he's never played before. That's so random. Milwaukee may not be done, as they're reportedly showing interest in Yu Darvish for their rotation. Please, God, go there. Are the Brewers the favorite to take the NL Central after their moves for Cain and Yelich?
No, I don't think so, but I like the moves in general. I mean, Yelich, I don't know if Yelich is worth 4 prospects. I mean, but at the same time,
he's excellent.
He's a very consistent hitter, which is what I like about him. He plays a good center field, too.
He was the most productive, all around of all the Marlins outfielders.
No, I listen, I think he's a good player. I just never really thought if he was worth 4 prospects in general. But then again, like I said, he is a quality player, and he makes the Brewers better. I mean, absolutely. I like Cain, although I don't know if I give him 5 years. I know he's like 30, 31 years old. But I think what will most likely happen is he'll just move to left field anyway. He's not going to play center anymore. And then from there, as for Ryan Braun, no, you can't move to second base. If you've never played the position, there's no way you can move to second base. Now, if he moves to first base, I don't know if the Brewers have a first baseman, I'm not really sure. First base makes a little more sense, but there's no way you can move him to second base. I still think the Cubs are the team to beat in that division, unless somebody tells me otherwise. I think they did a good job strengthening their bullpen in the offseason. They made some key moves. I know they lost Wade Davis, but I like Brandon Morrow coming over from the Dodgers. Cishek is a pretty good lefty reliever. I like the way they kind of strengthened that bullpen, and that lineup is still pretty strong. And I think from there, I think it's still the Cubs, but I really think the Brewers are closing the gap. If they can get a pitcher, I'd rather go after Arrieta to kind of stick it to the Cubs than go after Yu Darvish. I think Arrieta would be the better find. Number 3, speaking of baseball, the MLB Players Association is reportedly upset at the Marlins and the Pirates for their recent fire sales, and are considering filing a grievance against both teams for not putting revenue-sharing money they earned back into their ball club. Both teams received more than $50 million in revenue sharing, which takes money from the highest revenue teams and gives it to the lowest ones. The Marlins have slashed $25 million off their 2018 payroll, while the Pirates have cut a little bit over $11 million, and neither team has any plans to spend in what has been a very slow offseason for free agents. Maddie, would it really matter if a grievance is filed when none of the top free agents would have signed with Pittsburgh or Miami anyway?
I don't think that's the problem, though. But I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is that the collective bargaining agreement is set up so that when teams cut players and get rid of contracts, they actually make money, whether anybody goes to the stadium or not. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest problem, is there's no incentive to sign players. There's no incentive to keep players. There's no incentive to do any of that. Look at the Marlins. Derek Jeter already knows that he is going to make a profit this year. He's going to turn a profit because they get $50 million from the sale of BAM, and they get other things that go into effect. And literally, nobody could walk into the park this year, and they will turn a profit. That is insane, and it needs to stop. There needs to be things like the Yankees, Dodgers, Cubs, not Cubs, they don't necessarily spend a ton of money. They have a lot of young players. But you know the teams I'm talking about. The teams that spend money shouldn't be, are actually being, treated worse than the teams that blow everything up and do all this crap. So something has to be done. I don't know what that is. To be honest with you, I don't have the technical acumen to figure that out, but I will tell you that something has to be done, because what the Marlins are doing and what the Pirates are doing and what other teams are going to do is exactly what the Astros did 5 years ago, and I think it's going to make them turn into the Astros. Well, the Yankees did it another way, and so there are 2 ways to do it. We'll see. Something has to be done, though, because it's ludicrous.
Here's the problem I have, and this is something I was actually thinking about the other day. To me, it's just there's teams in Major League Baseball that are never going to win. And if you look at it, I'm talking about teams like the Marlins, even though they've won a couple of World Series. But the fact is, they're in for a long overhaul, right? A long rebuild.
But the Marlins have won 2 World Series.
Okay. But what about teams like the Pirates, the Rays, the Reds? These are teams that are never really spend money. And the thing is, I just think they're there just to exist.
The Rays should move to Portland.
The Rays should move out of Tampa, period.
Somewhere. It doesn't matter where, just somewhere.
Because it's the same thing with them every year, and that's what I'm talking about. It's just they just have a pulse in Major League Baseball, but they do nothing significant whatsoever. I mean, they were in the World Series how long ago with under Madden? Wasn't it at least 4 or 5 years ago?
08.
08?
It was the 08
okay,
World
so it was really
Series.
nine years ago. But the fact is that, again, these teams are just taking this money and just keeping it. They're pocketing it. And they're not really putting it back in. Now, whether the Marlins are saying, okay, we're going to sit out this year, but then maybe next year go after. Okay, maybe, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
They're not going to do that next year either.
Yeah.
They are going to be the Astros. They will add payroll at some point, but it will not be within the next couple of years.
But when you're a free agent like J.D. Martinez or a free agent, like a top free agent, even a middle tier free agent, you're not going to go to Miami or Pittsburgh unless they overpay for you, and they're not going to do that. They're never going to do that. Teams like Tampa are not going to do that.
But what if the Marlins had kept all the guys that they traded away and then signed Arrieta?
No, and I agree.
Then they're in.
They should
to go after the division.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's why we were. The thing was, when the Stanton trade went down, I wasn't pissed at the Yankees for getting him.
No,
it was just the fact of like the Marlins, just the way they handled Stanton from the beginning. They backed themselves into a corner, and the Yankees were the only team willing to take on the contract. And they were. And the thing was, at that point, the Yankees held all the cards.
Yeah.
So those are the things that bother me, just about crappy ownership in general. But then at the same time, you have, like I said, teams that just don't want to spend the money. Teams that spend it was crazy because you know what you've always talked about. You've always said how the Yankees and Dodgers are not spending money this year. So all the free agents. And I was looking up something the other day. The Dodgers so far this offseason, outside of the trade they made with the Braves to get Kemp back, they've only spent $3 million. The Yankees have only spent $10 million. And we're excluding trades. The only guy they've spent money on this offseason is CeCe Sabathia, while the Marlins just signed a guy, Tom Kohler, who pitched for the Marlins. So when you see like that drastic difference, and like meanwhile there's other teams spending like $50 million, $60 million. The Rockies have spent the most, almost $150 million, which is kind of a shocker. But again, I mean, these types of things, I don't think they're going to do anything because I think at the end of the day, these teams have to start spending money because otherwise you're just going to see the same results every year in and year out.
Number 4, it hasn't been the season the Rangers had hoped. Currently at the bottom of the Metro Division, but only 1 point behind the Devils and the Flyers for the 8th seed. However, a New York Post report recently suggested the Blue Shirts could blow it up in an attempt to bring in younger players in the league as well as draft picks. Among the players that could be traded include Rick Nash, who's in the final year of his contract, Michael Grabner, Ryan McDonough, and even Matt Zuccarello. No players considered untouchable, but it remains to be seen if the Rangers are considering being sellers at the February 26 trade deadline. Craig, while very close to a playoff spot, should the Rangers consider blowing it up and starting over?
This is interesting. Now listen, they're a few weeks away before the trade deadline, so a lot can happen. I would probably wait a week or two and just see how they come out of the gate starting, I think, tonight or tomorrow. I think there's the next game. But the fact is the season hasn't been as good, but the Metro has been so, outside of Washington, the rest of the teams are only within a couple of points of each other. So even though you're in last place, you're only 2 points behind the Devils. You go on a little tear, you go on a little winning streak, you're right back in it. And the Rangers have a pretty good roster. Now, the Kreider injury was tough because of the blood clot and everything like that, and Shattenkirk being out after knee surgery and everything. The thing that's, if you're a Ranger fan, what you're worried about is Lundqvist just hasn't looked good. Like he looks old. He's had some good games, but he's gotten beaten on a lot of games. And it's amazing how many times I've seen him pulled early in games because he just can't stop anything. If I'm the Rangers, you give it another week and see how it goes, a week or two. But if they don't really make that significant jump, if they don't really get on that 4 or 5, I think they really need to get on like a 4 or 5 game winning streak to kind of get back into it. If not, then I think you do, because I think you do have some quality players that I think you can get some stuff, you get some picks back and some younger current NHL players on your roster.
All right. Sure, blow it up. I always say blow it up. When you don't think you're going to win and you're just going to be mediocre, blow it up.
Halftime is officially over. We are the polar opposites. Call us if you want to talk Yankees, Mets, Giants, Jets, Knicks, Nets. The number is 516-945-9099. We'll get into the Super Bowl. We're going to do a special polar bipolar strictly on the Super Bowl at the very end of the show. But Maddie, it's time to do a little buzzer and bell. This edition of Buzzer and Bell centers around the NBA trade deadline. The trade deadline is February 8th. So what we're going to do, though, is we're going to do a little bit of a local flavor. And what we're going to do is I have 5 Knicks and 5 Nets. Maddie, you tell me if you were a team that was looking to make a run, a playoff push or whatever, would you acquire any of the following guys from either team?
Okay.
And then after that, I have 2 non-sports stories.
We're talking Golden State, Houston, Cleveland.
Anybody that's in the playoff hunt.
Okay.
That's how I do it.
Gotcha.
You don't have to give me the team. I
Right.
don't care.
And we're not talking about trades. If I was a team, would I want this guy to help me for the stretch run? Right.
And then we have 2 stories that are non-sports related where we're going to do a little buzzer bill
Right.
on that too.
Because people are idiots.
Okay. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay,
Let's do it.
We'll start with the Knicks because they've been trouncing the Nets all year
Oh,
long.
it's
And
brutal.
same thing tonight. I will start with Willie Hernan-Gomez. Defend.
He's young.
That's it?
Well, no. I mean, I'm saying he's young and he's a big man and he can score. He's offense. He needs help on his defense, but most guys do. So, yeah, if I'm a team, I would absolutely acquire him. Absolutely acquire him because he's young. He's got good offensive skills from the low post, and you need that sometimes.
All right, from the Nets, Timothy Mozgov.
No one should ever acquire Timothy Mozgov for any reason ever. Ever, 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 ever.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay.
Let me put it this way. If you trade for Timothy Mozgov, your fans should never watch your team again. That's how stupid that move is. I understand why the Nets did it. I get it. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about another team that would actually trade for him for some freaking unknown reason.
My guess is he's going to get bought out. That'll be the next move. All right, number 2, Jarrett Jack. Really?
Yeah. If you're a team, like, you know what would be perfect right now would be Washington. Washington, John Wall's out for a couple months.
Again?
Yeah.
He's always.
But he's out for like a couple weeks.
It's like 8 weeks, I think. 8 to
Right,
10
but I'm
weeks.
saying like Jarrett Jack in that situation is a filling guy. He's a backup point. He could be a backup point guard. Like Jarrett Jack can still play, guys. I watch him all the time with the Knicks. The guy can still play.
Okay, number 2 for the Nets.
Yes.
Joe Harris.
Sure. I haven't watched Joe Harris play it. Did anybody see Joe Harris play?
Yeah, he can shoot the 3, man.
Yeah, I know. Then some team will obviously take him because he can just sit out on the three-point line, which is how all NBA games are played now. And he can just stand there, and LeBron will dribble drive, shoot out, kick out to him, and he shoots a 3. There you go.
Poor man Drazen Petrovic.
Yeah, there you go. Drazen Petrovic.
Or poor man's Kiki Vandeweghe if you're a Knicks fan.
I don't think Key Vandeweghe is very poor.
It doesn't matter. I'm saying he's a poor man's Kiki
Yeah.
Vandeweghe. All right, number 3, Joakim Noah.
Just refer to my comments on Timothy Mozgov, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Well, first of all, you already know that if the Knicks find a way to, if they want to trade Joakim Noah, they're going to have to take back a bad contract. They're not going to be able to take us. They're not going to be able to get rid of $72 million.
Here's a great trade: Timothy Mozgov for Joakim Noah.
I would take Joakim Noah.
There you go. Done.
I would take Joakim Noah.
The Knicks will take it back. You know, the Knicks traded first-round draft picks for Timothy Mozgov. Oh, baby.
As long as you don't want anything else. All right, number 3 for the Nets.
Yes.
Rondae Hollis-Jefferson.
Yeah, young, athletic, good, still up and coming. You don't know what he is quite yet. He's very good, though, and he's a decent defender. Of course.
If you're the Nets, do you trade Rondae
No.
Hollis-Jefferson?
No.
Okay.
Not with Dinwiddie there running the show. You can put Hollis at the...
Dinwiddie's been lights out.
He's been good. You know, you can. Here's the thing about Hollis Jefferson. He can play the 2, he can play the 3. So you can move him around all over the place.
But here's where people say, for example, this is the time to trade him because their value could be really high.
Yeah, but his value is high for you. You got to keep guys. You can't just keep trading all these young players.
Because then you become the Montreal Expos.
And then you become the Washington Nationals.
Exactly. All right, number 4 for the Knicks.
Do it.
Kyle O'Quinn.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Matty's Bell.
I would trade Kyle O'Quinn. I would acquire Kyle O'Quinn. He's excellent off the bench. He almost averages a double-double off the bench, man. He's great inside. If you need a guy to, like, throw an elbow, he'll do that for you. He'd be great coming off the bench for a team like the Warriors or the Houston, like getting rebounds and putback buckets for the second team.
All right, number 4 for the Nets.
Yeah.
Damari Carroll.
No, never.
Why?
Because the guy looks like an idiot.
No. See, you can't do that.
His hair is ludicrous.
Who cares what he looks
wrong
like?
with you?
As long as he gets the boards and he shoots.
He doesn't. He doesn't.
And he's on an
interest me.
expiring contract next year.
All right. Well, that's why I would get him then. But I'm still not doing it because.
Oh, now all of a sudden looks me nothing as long as he's got an expiring contract.
Contracts cure all.
He's got to look like a supermodel.
Look, I would go for Randy Johnson if he had an expiring contract, and that guy's the ugliest dude in the world.
Yeah, he's pretty ugly.
And I'm not good looking. I'm just saying.
Secret revealed, folks. Number 5 for the Knicks, Courtney Lee.
Yes, absolutely. Courtney Lee is a very good player. He's a good defender. He's a good shooter. He's not great at anything, but he's very good at everything. He could be very good on a second team, or he could be that scrappy guy that'll do a bunch of the crap that the big stars don't want to do on the first team. Courtney Lee will be traded to somebody, and he will help that team do well.
All right, last but not least
Yes.
for the Nets, and I'm only putting this in because I couldn't figure out anyone else to put here.
Yeah.
Spencer Dinwiddie.
No. Well, yes, if I'm not the Nets. No, if I am the Nets. Is that fair? Can I walk that line?
Can I get a little buzzer then?
Yeah, buzzer. There you go, buzzer. Now non-sports.
See, the funny thing is like I think the Nets are going to trade a few of these guys because, for example, Joe Harris is a free agent after this year.
Right.
Carroll's on an expiring contract next year.
Right.
I think he's like owed $15 million next year, but then after that he's owed nothing.
Trade him next year then.
But I wouldn't trade Dinwiddie at all.
No,
because I
of course
think you
not.
need to
Well,
build
he's
around
not paying
him.
any money.
And the
too.
thing is,
He's a
but the thing is,
G-League guy, right?
But the thing is, how awesome you have a great backcourt with Dinwiddie and when D'Angelo Russell gets healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason to even mess with that.
Hollis Jefferson at the 3.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
like Hollis Jefferson. I just think that he's too up and down, but he's still really young.
He's got to be, 23, 22?
Maybe. And I'm
I
using
mean,
that.
he came out at like 18, 19, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's a solid player. I think he gets rebounds and everything. He's a quality player.
There you go.
And with him and like Karis LeVert, but guys like Joe Harris I think are expendable just because I think you can find a million Joe Harrises that could just shoot the three all day.
I agree.
All right, here are two non-sports stories. Maddie's got the buzzer, and I have a feeling he's going to be using it on both of these.
Maybe.
I'm pretty confident.
Maybe.
Okay, number one.
Mm-hmm.
A self-employed chef is suing a New York strip club alleging that a stripper knocked out his left front tooth after he called her a bad mother. Does he have a case, and did he deserve it?
No, he doesn't have a case. And although I don't condone hitting people, stop. Stop being First of all, what are you doing saying this woman's a bad mother? Why is she a bad mother? Because she's a stripper? Who cares? As long as she feeds, clothes, and takes care of her children, who gives a rat's patoot what she does for a job? That's the first thing. That's the second thing. Any mother that you call a bad mother should be allowed to hit you. That's it. That's an addendum to my no touching people rule. If somebody tells you you're a bad mother and they have no idea or clue what the hell they're talking about, then you can hit them. I've given you permission. Enjoy hitting people, ladies, because people are idiots. Oh, you can also hit somebody if they ask you if you're pregnant and you're not pregnant.
I've actually heard somebody do that.
Why would you even say it unless you're 100% sure? Men, unless you are literally...
That is 100% wrong. Like, I
unless
totally
you are
agree with Matt on that.
100% sure that a woman is pregnant, do not ask, inquire, or talk about it, because she may not be, and then you destroy her. Anyway.
All right.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I got you. You want to do the buzzer one more
Yeah,
time?
do it.
It's because you want to
Yeah,
get a
'cause
little
people
trigger
are
happy?
idiots.
Again? All right, number two. A woman tried to board a United Airlines flight with her, quote, emotional support peacock, whatever that is, but was denied. Should she have been allowed to board?
No. No. And in fact...
Did you see the size of the bird in the picture?
She should have had to fly in a crate underneath the plane, and the bird gets her seat. That's how stupid these people are. Folks, we have to stop. The service animal has gotten out of hand. I have people walking dogs into my restaurant. Just because you want to bring your dog everywhere doesn't mean it gets to go everywhere. And I'm sorry, but a service animal has to be a certain type of animal that can follow commands and isn't stupid or treated. Oh, God, people, stop. You don't get to take your dogs everywhere. You don't get to take your birds or your cats everywhere, folks. This is the real world. If you have emotional problems, do what everybody else does and take drugs. That's all I have to say about that. You want to do polar bipolar?
Let's go.
Just take drugs like everybody else. Pot is basically legal at this point. Get a Valium. Have sex. I don't care what you do. But stop bringing your stupid dog into my restaurant being like, this is my service animal. Yeah, I would be really an emotional wreck if this person doesn't, my dog doesn't fit with me. Shut your mouth.
you possibly-
You don't need your dog.
Possibly offend anybody else.
I probably could if I tried.
Okay.
And I have emotional problems, but I don't bring my dog everywhere.
That's why I have you running point on the show.
There you go. You know
we
what
go.
those people deserve, Craig?
Nothing! Absolutely nothing! Stupid! You're so stupid!
And if you don't know what that is, watch the movie UHF and thank me later because that's Long Duck Dong. I thank you. You want to do a little polar bipolar?
Yeah, I got nothing else. I'm
Ready?
so glad I ended on that. Polar Bipolar rounds out our show. This is a Super Bowl edition of Polar Bipolar. Matty, first of all, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
The Philadelphia Eagles are going to win by 40 points.
Is that you
Yes.
being the jinx?
Nope.
You can't be the
They are
jinx. Only I'm the
absolutely
jinx.
winning. The Philadelphia Eagles are winning. Trust me.
40 points?
No, 40 points is silly, but they are winning. They'll probably win by 3 points because that's all the Patriots ever lose by. They will probably win by 3 points, but they will win.
Okay. So this is 10 topics basically strictly on the Super Bowl. Matty, are you? I think you are ready, so I don't even have to ask.
Let's do it.
Number one, Matty, polar or bipolar? The Eagles' running game will be the X factor on Sunday.
I think that's bipolar, mostly because it's Bill Belichick. So I think their running game will be a factor, but I think the X factor is going to be Nick Foles, man. I mean, if he has a good game, the Eagles are going to win because they have a better all-around team than the Patriots do. So it's up to Nick Foles because if Bill Belichick does one thing, it's he stops your greatest strength and makes your greatest weakness beat you. It didn't work with Blake Bortles. We'll see if it works with Nick Foles.
Still losing the emotional support.
Number two, a healthy Rob Gronkowski gives the Patriots a huge advantage on offense.
I'm going to say bipolar. Gronkowski, of course, is the top tight end in the league next to Zach Ertz. So actually the Eagles and Patriots match up evenly there.
No,
No, not really.
it's the Nakamura theme.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember. I'm so used to hearing the violin part first. Here's the thing about the Patriots. They have so many weapons that they're just lethal everywhere. You have Chris Hogan, and you have Deion Lewis, and you have even Dwayne Allen as a backup tight end is pretty good. And you have Brandon Cooks has been really strong in the postseason. And at the end of the day, you have Tom Brady. So at that sense, although Gronkowski, of course, will help them and plays a big role, he's not a huge advantage because I think the Eagles match up perfectly with Zach Ertz at the tight end position. Number three, Matty, polar or bipolar? This Super Bowl is more likely to be a shootout than a defensive game.
I'm going to say bipolar because Patriots never play shootouts. I mean, last year ended up being a shootout, but it didn't start out that way. They never look. This game is going to be a 3 to 5 point game either way because the Patriots never play crazy games like this. And the Super Bowl is very rarely a super high scoring game from everybody, right? It's one team blowing the other team out, but very rarely is it what we saw in the 42-41 or something like that. So no, I don't think they will blow. I don't think it's going to be. I think it'll be what it always is, which is defensive first, and then the offense will take over in the second half, and it'll end up being like 27-24, which I don't consider a shootout in today's NFL. Do you?
No, I don't.
So there you go. What number 4 now? Yeah, number 4. The Eagles can't afford to be conservative if they want to beat the Patriots.
This is 100% polar in my opinion because the only way you're going to beat the Patriots is match touchdown for touchdown. You can't settle for field goals. Oh, listen, if it's 4th and 12, I mean, yeah, kick a field goal if you can. But if you're in like the 5-yard line or whatever and you need a touchdown, you got to go for the touchdown because it's the only way you're going to beat New England. You can't keep relying on the field goal too much because that's how Tom Brady's going to beat you. And I think the other thing is you're going to try to keep Brady off the field, and that's trying to kill as much clock as you can, which is why I do think the Eagles' running game could play a big role with Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount. But yeah, I think they need to try to score as much as possible. My guess is that Foles is going to come out the same way he came out for the Falcon game, and that's going to be a little rusty to start because the Patriots throw a lot of different coverages, blitzes, and all that stuff. But I think eventually he will get it going, but they really do need to try to match touchdown for touchdown on Sunday. Matty, number 5, polar or bipolar? Julian Edelman will be missed.
Oh, that's polar. I mean, you miss any player. Now, the good thing is he's been out for, what?
A long time. I think week
games?
1, I thought he was out.
Week 1 or 2. So it's been long enough to where it's not going to be that big a deal. But yes, you're always going to miss a guy who's a good player, always. Now, they've obviously had enough time to adjust and to get past. And Edelman Light or Amendola.
Amendola, I forgot about Amendola too.
I mean, it's the same guy, right? Like, they always have another guy who's like the guy he's replacing, right? So, like, they have a small white guy receiver, and then he gets hurt. And, oh, look at that. We got another small white guy receiver here. Oh, look at that. There we go.
That's pretty crazy, though, because if you remember when they had Wes Welker,
Yeah,
and then they got Julian Edelman,
yeah,
and now they have, Chris Hogan's a little taller.
He is.
But
you know,
Amendola is like the same type of receiver as Julian Edelman and
like
Wes Welker.
the same thing. So he will be missed, but I don't think it'll be as bad as if he got hurt like 2 weeks ago. Let me put it that way. Number 6, the Eagles D should blitz as much as possible against Tom Brady.
I'm going to say polar to this because one thing you learn about Tom Brady is that when you put pressure on him and you rattle him a little bit, he gets, he's not as efficient as he normally is. And, the Jags did it a little bit in the first half, and they did. They kind of threw him off his game a bit, and I've seen it with a few other teams. When you dial up the blitzes on Brady, I think it's one of those things where he's got to force the ball. And one thing about Brady is he does not like to get hit because he doesn't get hit very often. So the thing is he gets more frustrated when he gets hit, and that could really be, could have an effect on the Patriots in general. It normally doesn't last that long, but it might have an effect to start. So the thing is that if you are the Eagles, and Jim Schwartz has done a pretty good job because he did it against Keenum. Now, Keenum is not Tom Brady, but listen, the Eagles pass rush, they have a lot of speed on the ends. And, especially with Chris Long, Derek Barnett, these guys could have big days on Sunday. So, yeah, I would definitely
try.
That's
not how you attack Tom Brady. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, you don't blitz.
middle.
You just have to blitz, but I still think just getting as much pressure on him is key to at least getting the victory.
Yes, no, but I'm saying that the pressure needs to come from the middle.
Okay. Number 7, Matty, polar or bipolar. There will be another wardrobe malfunction during Justin Timberlake's halftime performance.
Bipolar. You don't get 2 mulligans. Okay, if you ever want to be invited back again, Justin Timberlake, you don't get 2. They didn't invite the black woman who you exposed to come back, so that tells you where you stand if it happens again.
Jackson.
I know who it is. I wanted to make another statement there instead of saying her name.
Okay.
So
My apologies.
That's all right. So basically, you got a mulligan and she didn't, and that's why you get to come back. But if you do it again, there's no more mulligans. Number 8, the Super Bowl commercials are guaranteed to disappoint once again.
This is definitely polar. They haven't been good in years. I think, like I said, my all-time favorite commercial, they only aired it on the Super Bowl and they never aired it again, was for FedEx when the guy was dressed up as Tom Hanks from Castaway with the beard, with the phony beard, and he goes to deliver the package that was sitting on the island with him for all that time. And when he asks the woman what's in it, she opens it up and there's a satellite phone, a compass, a water purifier to make drinking water, and he just looks like he wants to kill himself at the end. They haven't made commercials that good in a long time, and the problem with the commercials in general is they're built up so much that people look forward to them sometimes more than the game, and then they're just a huge letdown when you actually watch them. If you're going to watch the game, watch the game. The commercials are more of an afterthought, but like I said, and then they're already talking about the hype, they're already talking about the commercials for the week leading up to the game, and they always saw, last year the commercials were awful. They were awful last year, and the year before that, and the year before that. So they are most likely guaranteed to disappoint once again. Number 9, Matty, people betting on the coin toss officially have a gambling problem.
I'm just going to say people who bet on anything other than the game itself, like the Patriots to win or the Eagles to win. If you do any prop betting, if you do any of that stuff, you have a problem. We have a gambling problem in this country, and people apparently have a lot of disposable income to just sort of throw away on a coin toss. Why don't you just play that at your house? Why don't you just get your kids together and put them in a big circle and say heads or tails? And whoever wins, wins, and whoever loses, loses. But that's what you're doing. Stop. Can we please just stop? You have a problem.
People bet on so many. It's not even the game.
Stop. I can't take it. Just stop. Please, because it's getting to the point where it's become it's more about betting now than anything else. It's not about watching football anymore. It's about winning bets.
People might bet on something as stupid as whether Belichick's going to wear the cutoff hoodie on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's an
if you're doing that, there's going to be a number that you should probably call after the game. Number 10, you will get tired of all the Super Bowl pregame coverage before NBC takes over.
Oh, geez, between the NFL Network, ESPN, NBC Sports Network will probably wind up doing something. I'll be done with the Super Bowl coverage by 12 noon and the game starts at 6 o'clock. Mm-hmm. That's the sad case because there's nothing else on TV, which is fine. Listen, no one's going to air brand new programming against the Super Bowl. But the amount of coverage that goes into this starting at 9 o'clock in the morning is absolutely ridiculous. It's going to be 8 million stories on Tom Brady. There's going to be 8 million stories on Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft. There's going to be 8 million stories on Nick Foles. After a while, it's going to be tiresome. So watch it for an hour, then go do what you got to do, and then be back by 5:30 when the teams actually take the field, and then get ready for all the hoopla for Super Bowl Sunday. And with that, Polar or Bipolar is officially over, and this episode of Polar Opposites is over. And we'd like to thank Strong Island TV for having us on as always. We'll be back on Strong Island TV next Tuesday, a week from Tuesday, February 13th, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. So hopefully you guys check us out. You can also check out our past shows at Spreaker.com, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. And follow us on Twitter at Polar Opposites 1. Again, February 13th, Tuesday night, 9 o'clock Eastern. The Polar Opposites are back here on Strong Island TV. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Enjoy the commercials if that's your sort of thing. And we will talk again on February 13th.
Bye.
Emotional support Peacock.